Hello everyone, I'm Axis Horizon, working in RD, and I'm also an audiophile with 30 years of experience. So this time, I'm gonna share with you how to improve the sound quality of car audio. As you know, nowadays many so-called hi-fi brands are making car audio systems, like Dynaudio, Burmester, Huawei Sound, Bang, Olufsen, and Yamaha, Big Bose, many brands, including Mark Levinson. They're all there. But I can tell you, in fact, most of them, especially nowadays, most actually don't reach what we audiophiles consider the entry-level hi-fi standard. One reason is physical constraints, the physical limitations of a car. On the other hand, look, even if it's Dynaudio's amplifier, its components are actually entirely consumer grade. Dynaudio is consumer grade. It's actually consumer grade. So under these circumstances, it looks like you bought a so-called hi-fi car audio system. But in reality, even just listening clearly, I can tell you, hearing the sound clearly with clear details and high transparency, achieving these two things is very difficult. Not to mention the sound being smooth, rich in texture, having good mid-range, these demands are even higher. So current car audio systems, especially those with new Android head units, plus this type of amplifier, it's relatively hard for them to reach entry-level hi-fi standards. I'm telling you about this issue. Whether you buy a 300 RMB car or a 400 RMB car, it's the same situation. Same situation. The sound being clear, not grainy or harsh, even leaning towards being natural, is quite difficult. This is what I'm telling you. Having all three frequency ranges sound very clear is also quite difficult. So this is the current situation I'm describing. Let's also talk about the background if you want to modify them. What's the background? You must remember this background. There are two protocols now that are extremely important issues. What's the first protocol issue? It's that now, for BBA, if you want to modify BBA cars, remember what protocol it's called? BBA and European brands like Volvo, remember it's called the MOST protocol. The MOST protocol is essentially the protocol between the car's head unit and its amplifier decoder. Its protocol is called MOST. But MOST doesn't mean Volvo's amplifiers used for Dynaudio. No, it's not. But you need to remember this protocol. It's the MOST protocol. And for domestic brands, it's called the A2B protocol. Both of these protocols use optical fiber input. Take a head unit, an amplifier decoder unit. That's a principle for both. Therefore, as long as you can buy a third-party amplifier and decoder specifically for your car model, because that thing we call the head unit, we can understand it as a transport. As long as you can buy this decoder and amplifier that matches your car, generally speaking, the sound will improve. Generally speaking, the sound will improve. Remember this. But in many cases, they are not very compatible because MOST is harder. It's vehicle specific. What does the second one mean? A2B is a bit better, but it will also cause the EQ function, the sound field function you adjusted on your car head unit, to become ineffective. Your car head unit adjustments become useless. So it has a minor flaw. A2B has better compatibility. That's how it is. Then talking about MOST and A2B, everyone knows it's actually a head unit, our Android unit. Nowadays, they're all Android units. Each Android unit has one. Like that type is called an integrated decoder and amplifier unit. Like this type with brands, generally the better ones, generally the decoder amplifiers are several hundred watts. Like this one is 750W, and there are ones over 10W. Actually, in terms of power, if you say it's enough, it definitely isn't completely sufficient, but it's basically enough to hear clearly. It's no problem. Hearing clearly is no problem. If you modify it, meaning you directly replace the amplifier, the output amplifier wires pin to pin, generally it's quite good. There will be a noticeable improvement, but the amplifier must be good. If the one you buy has less power than the original cars, then it might be pointless. This is the first issue I want to talk about. It's the same for MOST and A2B. Then the most important point about the situation, this is the entry-level modification method. Because if you have this type of branded speaker system, especially in mid to high trim levels, in high trim levels, the high-end speaker systems, their speakers are generally not too bad. The most important point is that their amplifier is too poor and the head unit is too poor. That's the problem, you know. As for the head unit, everyone knows if you want to change the head unit, you need to replace the source unit, which might be relatively costly for some. Therefore, I recommend everyone upgrade the amplifier first. But this is not the most perfect way. Everyone knows consumer-grade Android head units have very severe SRC issues. Extremely severe. they fundamentally cannot output the original signal. They output a fixed signal. Therefore, the sound quality has very, very serious problems. Later on, I'll tell you to upgrade car audio losslessly and while maintaining the warranty. This is what I'll cover in the next section. Okay? Thank you, everyone.